Welcome to episode number 313, where I'm speaking with Dr. Sujatha Kekada about irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease. We talk about the Ayurvedic perspective, what can cause these conditions, the early signs, Ayurvedic treatment, and preventing IBS and IBD. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. Hello and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. Today I'm very happy to welcome back regular guest Dr. Sujatha Kekada, who is the head physician and co-founder of AmrtaSiddhi Ayurvedic Clinic in Ubud, Bali. Dr. Sujatha is a certified Ayurvedic doctor with a degree from Rajiv Gandhi University in India. And Dr. Sujatha's profound understanding of Ayurvedic medicine and her deep love for plants is the basis for her exceptional ability to diagnose the root causes of diseases and to find effective remedies. Combining intuition and compassion with bright intelligence and a rock-solid pragmatism, she is able to effectively guide people truly individually, just as the spirit of Ayurveda demands. Dr. Sujatha, welcome back to the podcast. Always a pleasure.
Hi, Colette. Thank you for inviting me again. It's really nice to have chit-chat and talk about Ayurveda and share some of the knowledge and experience that I have at the clinic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I appreciate you coming on here regularly and sharing your experience. It's invaluable. And Dr. Sujatha, I'm really excited to see you. It will be just under a month now. I get to see you for the first time in person in almost 10 years.
I'm really excited to see you back again. You know, I remember your times at AmrtaSiddhi, and it will be really nice to have you there and for you to experience and to see a lot of things. It has grown since you left.
Yes.
So it will be, I want to see how you going to feel about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and to see all the staff and everything. It would be really wonderful. And for those of you who don't know, in case you haven't listened to recent episodes, I'm hosting a 7-day Ayurvedic rejuvenation retreat at the AmrtaSiddhi Ayurvedic Clinic in Bali with Dr. Sujatha, and that will be December 4th to 10th. There's just a couple of places left, so if you're interested, definitely check out the link in the show notes for all the information. But it's just going to be a wonderful experience. And the great thing about going to AmrtaSiddhi is you get to leave behind all the daily stressors, all the distractions of day-to-day life, and really immerse in a healing cocoon and have everything tailored to you, and you don't have to think about anything. And it really is just an amazing experience. And even if you can't make this retreat, at some stage, take some time out of your busy life to immerse yourself in healing is just a wonderful way to invest in your longevity and vitality. So, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Colette, I wanted to say that, Bali is a very powerful place for healing. And on that space itself, plus combined with the Ayurveda, I've seen for last 17 years, like magic happens with the healing process. So people who are out there, you are looking to take a break and want to make some changes, pay attention to your own health. It's a great opportunity to be there together with Colette and at AmrtaSiddhi to experience, learn about yourself and make some positive changes into your life. You don't need to be sick or ill to come, but as a prevention, as you're looking to take a break and, reflect inward and nourish yourself, it's a wonderful opportunity to be there together with me and Colette.
Yeah, it really is. And true. I have mentioned that in newsletters about why Bali is referred to as the island of the gods. And it has a very special energy. People believe in harmony between people and nature and spirit. And that's what conveys that wonderful healing energy in Bali. So a truly magical experience. So I hope someday, if you can come join us in December, amazing, or someday go visit. It's absolutely wonderful. Okay, Dr. Sujatha, let's get on to our conversation today. We're going to talk about inflammatory bowel disease, and I want to talk about IBS as well. But, we have mentioned this before, but I wanted to dedicate a whole episode to this because we're seeing a lot of IBD, the inflammatory bowel disease, in our society today. And so I'd love for you to start with what is inflammatory bowel disease and irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, and Ayurveda's view on it, please.
Mm-hmm. In inflammatory bowel disease, as a name indicates, there's definite diagnosed signs of inflammation. Mainly you see two diseases in that category, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Ulcerative colitis generally affects the colon, mainly the lower part of the colon. And then Crohn's disease, it could be inflammation, irritation, scarring, wound, can affecting the mucous membrane. It can happen in your small intestine to large intestine. So that's the inflammation related. The IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. So this is a general name given when there is a discomfort, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, gas, unexplained pain. But basically, you don't see direct inflammation. And then when you experience this group of digestive tract related symptoms, then you call irritable bowel syndrome. So people go from constipation to diarrhea, or extremely constipated or extremely diarrhea, or mixed match of these two extreme symptoms. So the only sign is the Crohn's disease or the inflammatory bowel disease itself. It's diagnosed. There is a tools and technique, visible inflammation, but the other one, there's no direct inflammation. If you go through a colonoscopy, or you do a endoscopy, or if you check the markers for inflammation, you won't see, then you categorize in that. So irritable bowel syndrome is maintainable, but the ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease can be very complicated, can lead into other diseases, and there is a concern about your immunity working against your own body, autoimmune condition, and then it can be a bit more severe.
I see. Okay. So the IBS is more of a collection of symptoms, and that's why it's called a syndrome. Okay. Whereas the bowel disease is actual inflammation. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then in Ayurveda's view, does IBD come under the condition of Grahani? And if so, what is that? To explain for people.
IBD, I would say IBS is very close to irritable bowel syndrome, is close to Grahani, where the Grahani means absorbing something which holds. So basically, a Grahani in classical text described as a condition where there is Agni Mandya, weakness of Agni, that aggravates the doshas. Further aggravated dosha loosens the duodenal sphincter. So basically, the food doesn't stay longer in your stomach, doesn't stay longer in the area where it should be staying and get the part of the digestion to be done. Instead of that, indigested food runs through into the colon, moves faster, either creating constipation or diarrhea with indigested food and food not getting absorbed, fermentation happening and affecting the gut biome, extra growth of fungus or yeast or candida, these kind of things. It irritates, gas, bloating, cramps, and all those things. So this is more of a Grahani issue. There is a lack of absorption, and Grahani is completely a digestive system Agni related issue. And in the inflammatory bowel disease, this we can see symptoms very similar to few of the other condition where particular pitta dosha is involved. We can see this, the Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis comes under the category of like pittaja atisara or adagata raktapitta. Or pitta vataja grahani also indicated. So it's more comes under a pitta involvement in the intestine, aggravated, creating diarrhea, wound scarring, ulcerations, these kind of conditions. So there's a multiple diseases can be correlated in Ayurvedic perspective, understanding inflammatory bowel disease.
Okay, interesting. So grahani is also like it's an organ which holds the food.
Exactly.
Okay, and it kind of sorts the food. So it's like it sorts the ahara rasa into this elemental fluid. Okay, so it digests. That's where the food is in between the stomach and the large intestine. It's sorted, digested, and absorbed. So you're saying that sphincter on the duodenum is affected in this case in grahani, and so that undigested food is going straight to the colon, where you might see undigested food in your stool then.
Exactly. So absorption or holding of the food to support longer process of digestion gets shorter. There's two things not happening: absorption not happening, and holding of the food in the small intestine long enough to get it digested is also not happening.
Okay, great. Thank you for that explanation. So you mentioned there's a pitta involvement definitely with IBD. And so what can cause this? And they're two different, right? We're looking at two different things here. IBD, the inflammation, and IBS being a collection, as you said, of symptoms. But what can cause this in the Ayurvedic view? And I'm sure there's many possible causes, but can you tell us some of those, please?
Anything that generally increases pitta, which is described as excessive indulgence in excessive ushnahara, lavanahara, amlahara means food which is hot and intense in nature, which is too sour in nature, too salty in nature, alcohol consumption, stress, emotions of anger, hormonal imbalance, all those things can lead into pitta aggravation, even including overexposure to sun. So all those things can increase pitta, and then this increased pitta getting accumulated in the vata area, which is the large intestine. So that means it increases in the body. There is some sort of weakness in the large intestine that get aggravated there, then can be combined with infections, and then it irritates the mucosa of colon and creating into these ulcers or eroded mucous membrane. Then body creating this autoimmune response to this, and then food is not getting absorbed. That's only one thing, and then this inflammation spreading into the different part of the body. It can affect the skin, it can affect the joints, and malnourishment, osteoporosis can lead into many other complex diseases.
Okay. And so what would the Purva Rupa or the early signs of these conditions be? What should people look out for?
In case of inflammatory bowel diseases, I think having Agni Mandya could be overly stressed, feeling acidity, like a feeling acid happening, acid reflux happening. And when these things happens, we ignore that, then that increased pitta can go into the area. And then what happens is, this is very important. You have the acid reflux, you have acidity, you're drinking too much of alcohol, you're smoking, but you don't stop this etiology. That Ayurveda always says, look into the cause of the disease, and you don't take care of, stop the cause of the disease, but you try to find a treatment by taking antacids, by taking steroids and medications and stuff. So this increased pitta already showing its sign, and it's moving upward, right? That's when the early symptoms we experience. We don't listen to that, and then we try to suppress that. So that means it goes into a wrong direction. It goes into a Tiryak Gati, and it goes into the place of the Vata. So then people can also see restless sleep, waking up in the Pitta Kala, like around 2:00. So these are the things. It could start with in early symptoms, Pitta Vriddhi, creating acidity, increased heat in the body, over-emotional of anger, frustration, aggressiveness, and then we ignore that. Then it ends up into your small intestine, into your large intestine, combined with suppressed emotions. Autoimmune condition, I've seen any kind of autoimmune condition, particularly in the digestive issues, there's a big connection to the suppressed emotions, abuse, people who went through a lot of abuse as a kid, they tend to have that relationship abuse, workplace abuse, and suppressing that abuse and not standing up, not healing that is like what emotional level, almost like verbally abused, beaten up, and put down. All those things goes inside in your intestine, getting accumulated, aggravated, like a frustrated, create this wound. So this is the early symptoms. Like any digestive symptoms suppressed with medication can lead into ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease.
Interesting. So it's almost like people have swallowed that trauma and then it's ended up in their intestines. And so in your experience, do you particularly see it in cases of suppressing anger?
Yes. Suppressing anger, it can cause the increased pitta internally. Some people express pitta externally, then you get a gush of heat in the head, and then you sweat it out and you yell it out. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have organic effect, but it is much less. But if you have a lot of anger and you suppress it, and externally you keep yourself calm, then the anger has to go somewhere and do something.
Yeah, so it's seething inside of you and literally burning you from the inside out. Yeah, okay. And so you touched a little bit on the Samprapti, the progression of the disease. Like you said, it starts with pitta and that movement of pitta upwards, and that can be the acid reflux, and then it's moving downwards. Then if we ignore those, taking antacids and so on, then it could move downwards into the Vata, the Sita Vata, and cause problems in, like you said, in the digestive tract, in the colon, and the rectum. And so how does Ayurveda go about treating these conditions?
First thing is to reduce the stress, whatever is creating stress, work stress, emotional stress, environmental stress, or you're creating stress to your body by smoking too much, consumption of alcohol, drugs, any of these things, or a mono diet, people eating extreme spicy food, extreme sour in their diet. This is also need to be changed. As you know, the simple rule of Ayurvedic way of eating is your food need to contain all the 6 tastes to nurture the senses, satisfy, and work on the doshas, with the understanding that you lean a little bit more towards the taste that balances your original constitution, or you're going through any imbalance. So changing that mono dosha predominant, mono taste predominant diet, working on stress, and stopping all these things. And then we need to do the repair work. So first we need to, in the IBD, you need to control the pitta and also control the vata, because both pitta moved into the vata area and vata further getting aggravated. So anything which balances out the pitta would be your aim. So you want to use a lot of ghee medication here, because Tikta rasa, the bitter taste, is ideal in pitta aggravation conditions, or medicines which contains bitter taste. But we also know bitter taste increases vata. So we can't just think of pitta and target pitta, but we need to have the snigdhata and little bit of shita, snigdhata, but with a little bit of ushnata to counteract the vata. So medications in the form of the ghee, and the ghee also increases the agni. Even though there is excessive pitta, the pitta is too much in the snigdha, wet quality, right? So it's not able to digest. Agni has got more dryness. So pitta is there. It's in the form of inflammation. We call abhishanda, but we want pitta's quality to be in supporting the agni by reducing the moisture. So simple food, things like, aloe vera is a great thing to use when there is an ulcerative colitis combined with cumin. The gruel made from old rice, like a rice which is older, harvested and older than 6 months time, because they are lighter. Also using something called poha, or like a perched rice, like this rice flakes, making soups out of that. Pomegranate juice. And then there are classical Ayurvedic medicines, Grahani Antaka Gulika, Musta is another herb, which is also Pachaka, which it doesn't increase pitta, it doesn't increase vata. So coriander, cumin, fennel, mint, these are the things you want to use medicine combination in the food in a very wise way, simple, easy to digest, but also increase agni. Dry ginger is another thing. You can use it, but be careful. Use the quantity that doesn't aggravate pitta. Dry ginger is much more better than the wet ginger, because dry ginger has a little bit of less intense. It's a madhura vipaka. That means post-digestive. It's sweet, so it pacifies both pitta and vata. So basically, you want to control both pitta and vata, and you need to be very tactful in the inflammatory bowel disease, and also work on trauma stored in the body, how to learn to face it, be honest with yourself, expressing yourself, because autoimmune condition is basically, it could be self-judgment, self-criticism, blaming yourself for things. So there's a constant inner critic going on, can also create this autoimmune condition, and then aggravated with pitta and vata, disease can manifest. But when it comes to irritable bowel syndrome, this is need to be a pure work on your eating habits, choosing the food for your constitution, doing Agni Dipana, Pachana, rest, meditation, yoga, just some corrective method to work on your stress and digestive system. I tell to people, start thinking of yourself as a baby and when it's starting to wean, and try out the food in a very small quantity, simple, easy, digestible. Don't complex anything. Don't go for the smoothies and stuff like porridge kind of gruels and soups and things. Then build up your intestine, work on your mind, work on your stress, find a relaxation technique. So that would take care of the irritable bowel syndrome.
Okay. So IBS is aligning with the circadian rhythms, as you say, like really making sure that you have a foundation of self-care practices, managing stress, and making sure that you have this not only good, easy, digestible food, but also that it's timely food, right? That you're eating within a 60-minute window, and giving your body that good nurturing food. Wonderful. I'm putting you on the spot here, but do you have any case studies that you could share with us?
Yes.
IBD?
Over the period of time, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, we had quite a bit of a patient. So when we treat there, not only just what I suggested in that line, plus we do give the tiktaka ghee. Also, we do treat a lot with, because colon is very close through the anal orifice. So we do a lot of medicated enemas using the herbs, which it heals intestinal wounds, ulcerations and aggravations and stuff. Like a durva is one of the herb. We use aloe vera. So in this way, we do use a few herb infused, made into enema to support the process.
Mm-hmm. And then using an enema through the route of the rectum, because it's the most direct route to that area that's affected, right? The rectum and the colon, and
Exactly.
It's more absorbable. Yeah. So I'd love to talk about a little bit. We have touched on how to manage IBS and IBD, and thank you for that. But I'd love to talk about how we prevent these conditions from manifesting in the first place, right? The prevention that Ayurveda always talks about. If we could cover that for people as well, so they don't get to the point where they're fighting these fires of these IBS or IBD.
Like a simple thing, digestive issues, it's like a completely, we neglect the call of our body, need of our stomach, and not understanding how your digestive system works, how to take care of it. People people are so busy in the worldly affair of working or making sure other people are healthy, and they forget to eat.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I've come across so many people, they say, I don't have time.
Yes.
And it's really ironic to hear that, because we do everything else to have enough money to have food and shelter, our basic needs.
Mm-hmm.
So not taking care of that, or overindulging in the food, or not eating enough, or eating wrong kind of food, processed food, staying up late, just change these things, get into your circadian rhythm, feel your hunger, eat for your hunger. Choose the food, something which is locally grown, simple, not from a package. Like a basic things that we understand. And in Ayurveda, we call Vegas. That means it's a natural urges which tells your body to do what? To survive and flourish. Like when something is stuck in your nose, we sneeze to get rid of it. Or if something is in our throat, we cough to get rid of it. If you have flatulence, it comes as a gas. So hunger is a sign. Listen to it and feed yourself when you're hungry.
Yeah.
And eat the quantity that you still feel comfortable and satisfied, not you still feel hungry, not until you feel so full. Yeah. So these basic simple things, digestible, easy, warm food, routine, getting sleep, move your body, mindfulness, having fun, connecting to family, society. I think these basic things, that what life asks for, fulfilling that would take care of and we don't need to get sick like this.
Yeah, it's so true, Dr. Sujatha. As you said a moment ago, these are basic things that we all know, but we are so distracted with everything else going on in our lives, and we're so full up with the different daily stressors that these are the things that get pushed to the side, and we think of them as not important. We're running around taking care of others, or putting our job as a priority, and letting our health and these basic needs take a back seat. And that's an issue. And it may seem, people will think, oh, that's so simple. That's basic knowledge. But yes, it's basic knowledge, but we're not following it. We're not putting a priority on that self-care and meeting our own needs first. And we hear this over and over again, that we need to fill up our own cup first so that we can be there for others, so that we can have that vitality, energy, and clarity to go out into the world and be of service. But it's amazing how much time I spend in my consultations too, talking to people about the basics and saying, okay, let's look at your schedule and make time for you. Because there's so many people I talk to too, Dr. Sujatha, where they're not eating. They're like, I'm too busy to eat. I'm like, well, that's not possible. And that's not something you can continue with.
Yes, and something is completely wrong in their understanding of their existence.
Yeah.
I also want to add another thing is, self-rejection. That's one of the biggest things, which is the root of those things, comparing and wanting to be a certain way and not happy with who they are, how they look, and then going into impaired way of relationship to food and all those things. So I think I want people to be mindful of this. This can lead into all digestive issues or Agni Mandya.
Great point. Self-rejection, and I would say a lot as well, is self-worth. And that I see particularly in females too, is like that I am worthy of a lunch break and sitting down and eating and having a lunch break. And I am worthy of this self-care and putting myself and my self-care before my children and my partner and everything else that comes in my life. And I spend a lot of time talking about giving yourself permission. And you are worthy of this, and not only worthy of it, but it's also necessary for you to have continued, longevity and good health.
Yeah. And when there is a call from the body to nurture it and we don't listen to it and we make time some other time, then the body doesn't want it. And then we end up eating wrong thing at wrong time.
Yeah.
So because we think end of the day, we are exhausted and tired, then we think, okay, now I need to eat. And there is a strong craving from the body. Then we end up eating things which are too much a quantity to digest in one go, or we crave for sugar because that's what's going to make you feel satisfied and content.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it? Because the body's wanting nurturing. So you're going for that sweet taste, which gives us that nurturing feeling, but it's the sweet taste in the wrong form. Of maybe highly processed foods and so on. So it does come down to those basics in the act of prevention of disease and making sure that your foundational basic self-care, mindfulness, and good nurturing food is taken care of first and foremost, so that you can take care of yourself, and that going to be a good role model for your children as well. You don't want your children picking up some bad habits also, because they're just watching everything. So you want to make sure you're a good role model for those people around you. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Sujatha. Before we finish up here, is there anything else that you wanted to share?
I would just want to say it again and to say that the irritable bowel syndrome it's a little bit in fear and stress and mind based. I think working on that and then of course changing the diet and increasing the Agni. Not only just thinking what kind of nutrition I buy, it's all about what kind of nutrition right now I can digest. So simplifying, enjoying simple things, relaxing, practicing yoga, meditation, gentle pranayama, not feeling that you're missing out or you're running out of the time is a great way to go.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful advice there. Thank you, Dr. Sujatha. And if you could tell people how they could find out more about you and your offerings at AmrtaSiddhi before we close out here. Thank you.
You can reach us through our AmrtaSiddhi website. It's www.AmrtaSiddhi.com. We are in Ubud, New Kuning village. So if you check out our website, you will see different kinds of programs, Panchakarma. Check out on a TripAdvisor to see what people say about their experience, how it was helpful for them. And if you're interested in a personal sessions, you can reach out through the website. So I look forward to whoever is listening to this and want to make some changes, empower yourself in taking care of your health and well-being. Hopefully I can see you all in December. If you take a break for yourself and want to come to Bali.
Wonderful. Well, next time I see you, Dr. Sujatha, will be in person, and I look forward to it. And thanks again, as always, for sharing your invaluable experience and taking the time out to talk to us. I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.
You're very welcome. See you soon too, Colette.
Okay, bye for now, Dr. Sujatha.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Dr. Sujatha, and certainly very important to cover these conditions of IBS and IBD. And I would appreciate it if you could share this information with people you think may find this interesting. And we can spread this wisdom of Ayurveda to help those who are suffering from these conditions and also to prevent these conditions. Please check out the show notes for all the links mentioned in this episode, the links to Dr. Sujatha's website of AmrtaSiddhi. I also have the link to the upcoming retreat, December 4th to 10th. So you can join us in Bali very soon. And I also have a link to my online services if you need support in implementing Ayurveda into your life or dealing with any imbalances. Please check that out or visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. If you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so, and the new episodes will automatically download for you. And if you would like to rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, I would really appreciate that. You can find me on social media under Elements Healing and Wellbeing on Facebook, and my new Instagram page is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. Please come join me there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.